Looking forward to seeing how the new additions all work out with Dallas and the Lakers. Can't wait to see how Dallas looks tomorrow with Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
I think everybody's overlooking that part of the trade. Everybody's concentrated on Luka. This is now Luka land, the LA Lucas, but people act as if the Lakers or Dallas just got some run-of-the-mill player for Luka or some role player and a bunch of draft picks. Dallas actually got the second best big man in the game. And what he's going to bring to the Dallas Mavericks, if they're healthy going into the playoffs, they're my team to beat.
Okay, so Michael, let me ask you this: is it? I think it's. I don't think people are trying to be disrespectful to Anthony Davis. I think there was just such a. I think there was such a shock that it was Luka. You know what I mean?
They are being disrespectful to Anthony Davis because yes, Lakers got themselves a future Hall of Famer too. But they forget that so did the Dallas Mavericks and how good he is. And they're just downplaying the Dallas part of the deal about how could you give up Luka? Yes, he's 25. I understand that. But Anthony Davis is in his prime for the next 4 or 5 years.
Okay, so do you think that trade of now here's the issue Dallas is going to deal with. Dallas's issue is they already made it to the NBA Finals with Luka, with a 25-year-old Luka. If the Dallas Mavericks get to the NBA Finals, is that your favorite to come out of the West? Do you think Dallas is the best kind of well-rounded team? They got the right pieces to come out of the West?
If they are healthy, yes. There's Oklahoma City still in it, of course. And the Lakers now have the way they're playing. Now they're a threat. So definitely. So to me, those top three teams, Minnesota, Denver, obviously got to respect them. Memphis, but Memphis is still young and sort of erratic, even though they're good. Houston, too young. So I think the top three teams to face maybe Cleveland or Boston in the finals are the Lakers, Dallas, and Oklahoma City.
So I want to go back to because I love your perspective because not a lot of people are saying what you're saying about, hey, look how good Dallas is going to be now with Anthony Davis. All the attention has just been on Luka. So that's where the attention has been. But I think this is what Nico Harrison and the Dallas Mavericks ownership, this is what they're going to battle with. What they're going to battle with is, let's just say they got to the NBA Finals and Dallas came out of the West. And I'm just playing a hypothetical. They play Boston again. And Boston is just better in a 7-game set. It goes 6 games and Boston wins again. They really didn't accomplish anything different by getting Anthony Davis because they were already in the NBA Finals. And Luka, that franchise player that you thought 25, 20, this guy's going to be here for another 7, 8, 10 years or whatever the case is, you lose that player. There was such a connection to Luka that I think that's the frustration with the Dallas Mavericks and their fans. It's not only do they want to win a championship, but they're okay to wait as long as it's with their guy. Do you at least see that perspective?
Yeah, they have more time with Luka because he's only 25, and the way he plays, he's going to play till he's in his late 30s at the style that he plays with, on the floor, slow, and at his own pace. So, yeah, they had a good 10-year window with him. Now with Anthony Davis, they have about a 3 or 4 or 5 year window to win a championship. So that is the difference in trading Luka as opposed to picking up a 31-year-old all-NBA player like Davis.
Yeah, you love yourself some Anthony Davis. A lot of Laker fans. I mean, I'll tell you this in the chat. There's always, I don't think people have anything negative to say about AD.
Oh, no, not at all.
I think it's more just maybe an excitement that you're getting this international superstar that you also, there wasn't a lead up to this. There wasn't a month ago we were all saying, hey, I think Luka might be a Laker. Or, hey, Luka's demanding out of Dallas. It just kind of all happened overnight.
As all trades should happen. If I was a GM, and I wanted to be a player or players, and especially if it's an all-NBA type player, I'm going to keep it. I'm going to call the other GM and say, hey, man, between me and you, don't tell the agents. Let's just you and me work this out. Just don't let this leak because we don't need the headaches of people battering us and badgering us about why you're going to do this. And maybe some people like that because it generates more interest for their team and for the NBA. But if I was a GM, I would definitely operate the way Pelinka and Nico Harrison did it. Just by one-on-one and what do you call that? In silence and when you and covertly,
incognito, just like
covertly, keep it quiet. It's between me and you. The way the mob does deals. Go into a parking lot or something, sit in your car where you know it can't be bugged. That's the way the mob do deals.
I want to see next time. I want to see Nico Harrison or Rob Pelinka just walking down
right
Figueroa. Michael, they're covering their mouths like this while they're talking. They have a toothpick in their mouth and they're negotiating the whole deal.
No, you even can't do it that way because they got these microphones that you can sort of like they use in the NFL, where they can pick up sounds from across the sideline. So somebody could be sitting in a van, an unmarked van, or just a white van with holding one of those like little dishes, and they can pick up your conversation. So if you're gonna do those kind of deals, to really do it privately where no one can hear, you got to do it probably like in a bar with music being played. So they can't, and you got to lean in right next to each other and sort of whisper to each other.
I like that. I like the mob reference.
Do it the way that remember John Gotti?
Of course.
The old mob boss in New York. What he used to do is he knew what they suspected where they hang out was bugged. So to avoid being heard, and the FBI figured out what they were doing too. So to avoid being listened to, bugged, they would go upstairs to this old lady's apartment above their hangout.
But they got a recorder there, right? Yeah. Like that's how he got caught.
Yeah, eventually the FBI figured out, they're going upstairs to have their secret meetings. Let's sneak into that lady's apartment and plant a bug there. And that's how they actually got caught unawares that there was a bug in the old lady's apartment above their hangout.
You know what's so funny? That to me is, how fascinating is that world? Right? that world of how they, and by the way, this is all of just what we know. Imagine what we don't know.
Yeah, but I would not. If I grew up in that neighborhood, in the neighborhood these guys grew up in, and I had a chance to join the families, I wouldn't have the courage to do it, because as soon as they suspect you are a rat, even if they suspect it, they're taking you out for a ride and you ain't coming back.
Let me tell you what you would be if you were in that neighborhood. Okay, you'd have a small business.
Yeah.
You'd have like a bakery or something.
Yeah.
And then you would pay your mafia tax every month.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And you would say nothing else.
Nothing else. I just want whatever the percentage is. So they want 20% of my earnings. Here you are, fellas. The only way to avoid it is you have to move to someplace else in Montana or Wyoming and set up your business there. But if you're going to live in that neighborhood, in that world, you had to pay for their protection.
You know, we're never going to get this, but I think sometimes in the sports world, like we heard Nico Harrison say how the deal went down. They went and grabbed a cup of coffee. Nico Harrison kind of initiated. Palenka kind of told his version of the story. Right after they were done talking, he picked up the phone. He called Jeannie and just said, hey, this could potentially happen. But that is a fascinating world, how all those deals, get done. Maybe it's not as exciting as we think it is, but I'm sure there's so many deals that happen that just kind of come out of nowhere. Not mafioso style, but in some regard. Okay, so you were in New York. This was right after the Lakers-Knicks game. Can I guess what you were doing?
Yeah, go ahead.
You were in your hotel room. You were ordering room service. And you were taking in the Big Apple by enjoying the hotel room with the TV on. Am I pretty close? Okay.
Close. We had just arrived at the hotel. I was walking through the lobby, going to the elevator, push the button, and up behind me walks Janie Buss. You know who Janie Buss is?
I'm going to assume the sister.
Yeah, one of the Laker owners. She's one of the 6 Buss kids who own the Lakers, part owner of the Lakers. Obviously, Jeannie runs it, but Janie's as much a part owner as Jeannie is.
Of course.
So we were in the elevator riding up to our separate rooms, and Janie was with her daughter. And all of a sudden the phone rings and Ireland's on the phone and says, hey, did you hear about the trade? I said, what trade? Anthony Davis just got traded for Luka. I said, come on, somebody just hacked your phone. That cannot be true. Agreed. And Janie was right there next to me. And so she was like, what happened? I said, I don't know. There's something going on about Anthony Davis traded for Luka. And she couldn't believe it either. So I said, that's not true. Somebody's playing us some kind of early April Fool's joke, like what happens on the internet sometimes. But Ireland says, no, that's what they're saying. Shams is reporting it. I said, well, somebody hacked his phone. So that's not happening. Anyway, so Ireland said, well, I'll call you back. I'll check. So we got off the elevator. I got off on my floor, said bye to Janie, went to my room, turned on ESPN, and I looked for the crawl because there was a college basketball going on. It was 12:05 a.m. New York time because we were on the East Coast. So I looked on ESPN and said, let me see if this is true, because it would obviously be breaking news on ESPN. There was nothing there for like 5 or 10 minutes. I said, see, somebody's playing a joke. If it's not on ESPN's crawl during a live college basketball event, then obviously it didn't happen. And then Ireland called me back and said, yes, it's true. I said, I still don't believe it. And then about 5 or 6 minutes later, breaking news across the ESPN said, wow, how about that? So nobody, I probably had the reaction of everybody. No, that's
Everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny because I've told this story a couple of different times, and I think everybody feels the same way. When you first saw Sham's original tweet, I'm like, yeah, he got hacked. Yeah. And then when you saw Sham's second tweet saying this is real, I'm like, he 100% got hacked. That's what a hacker would do. A hacker would tell you that this is supposed to be real. Okay, you've been around the NBA for a long time. Can you remember a kind of a shock moment like that where you got everyone around the league that was that surprised, everyone in the league that just had no idea that was going to happen? Where does just kind of that moment, listen, it's not on the basketball floor, so I'm not trying to compare it to anything that actually happened on the court, but where's that moment in kind of Michael Thompson's, oh my gosh, that's going to go down as one of the biggest moments in NBA history?
Yes, it's one of the biggest trades ever made because of the players involved one for one, because superstars have been traded before. Wilt was traded, but for a bunch of role players. Kareem was traded, but for a bunch of role players, good players, but not for the next superstar like him. It wasn't like Kareem was traded for Wilt, or Kareem was traded for, who was the other great player during his time? Maybe a Walt Frazier or something like that. You know, when those great players, Shaq was traded for a bunch of guys from Miami. You know, it happens, superstars being traded, but for two players at such an even level when it comes to being all NBA, this is the most shocking or even the biggest trade. It's not the best trade ever made in basketball history. Only one trade will ever be the best trade ever made in basketball history, and that happened back in the 50s. And of course, you know what that is.
In the 50s, I know what that is.
Yeah, it's so obvious. That's the greatest trade ever made in basketball history, and it'll never be matched. The St. Louis Hawks traded the rights for Bill Russell to the Boston Celtics. And I guess when Russell went to the Celtics, I don't know, I guess he did okay after that.
He did all right.
Yeah, he did all right after that. So, but this trade will never live up to the Bill Russell greatness trade. No trade will match up to that when a guy gets traded to a team that leads him to 11 championships in 13 years. But as far as one-on-one, player for player, the enormity of and the talent of the players involved, this probably is the biggest trade ever made between two equally talented players. Because it would be like Kobe getting traded for Dwayne Wade, maybe something like that at the time, because they're both in their prime and both all NBA guards. Or Kobe being traded for, let's see, Kobe was in the early 90s. Who was the other super duper star in the early 90s?
You look at like Allen Iverson back then.
Kobe for Allen, right. Yeah. Or Hakeem for Patrick Ewing or something like that. Yeah. So this trade is like on that level.
All right. Thank you very much for watching the clip. Just want to give a shout out here to one of our partners, the Wallace Firm. They are official injury attorney of the Sliwa Show and Hoops Talk, the entire channel. If you are ever in a need, and I hope you're not, but some type of serious injury with yourself or a family member of yours, I would like to personally help you by introducing you to the best in the business, Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm. Also got a URL out here that you can use as well. Just go to wallacewins.com/Sliwa. Thank you for their partnership, and thank you for being a part of the Sliwa Show.